Hey everyone, how's it going? We're going to continue with chapter 26, section 3 today. It's going to be a relatively short set of notes. There'll be a worksheet posted and the answers. Take a look at the questions, take a look at the answers, and focus on a couple of things. And then after that, your homework will be posted, which will be this sheet, which talks about Dr. King and civil disobedience, nonviolent protest. We talked about all of this. The I Have a Dream speech, the 1964 civil rights legislation, and then ultimately the difference between Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, the Black Power movement, and the comparisons to Dr. King, and then ultimately what happens to Dr. King in 1968. All right, so I'm just going to get into it quick so you guys hear me explain it. Tomorrow we'll do section 4. There probably won't be a voiceover. It's self-explanatory. And then the week after, we're going to do review and some tests, and then get into the last probably couple sections of the year to catch you all up. All right, so I'm just going to go over this really quick. All right, so you hear me explain it. All right, what's going to happen in the mid 1960s is the civil rights movement is going to kind of split into two. Dr. King preached civil disobedience, nonviolent protest, sit ins, freedom rides, organized marches. Well, there's going to be another aspect that forms, and it's going to be led by Malcolm X, who was born Malcolm Little, and he changes his name to Malcolm X, and he calls for non-civil disobedience. All right, this is going to be very similar to when we talk about, or when we spoke about Dubois and Washington in the late 1800s, early 1900s. All right, they both want equal rights. They both want the end of segregation um, and integration being a part of life. However, they both want different methods to doing it. Malcolm X wanted African Americans to stand up for themselves, to be completely separated from white society. It kind of kickstarted the Black Power movement led by Stokely Carmichael. All right, to take pride in heritage and start their own business. And Malcolm X, would not turn the other cheek. Malcolm X would fight back, and his followers would fight back. So you kind of had two different factions here of civil rights movement: Dr. King, nonviolent protest, civil disobedience, and the Malcolm X non-civil disobedience approach. Okay, there's going to be riots that break out over this, and again, this is all after 1964. This is after that civil rights bill was signed. This was after this was all supposed to be taken care of. All right, and then unfortunately, in 1968, Dr. King is going to be assassinated as he leaves his hotel, the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, and he is going to be killed. And Bobby Kennedy, who's the presidential candidate at the time, is going to be the person who announces that Dr. King has been assassinated. Shortly after that, Robert Kennedy himself will be assassinated also. All right. Riots break out. All right. Cleveland, Atlanta, Detroit, LA, Newark. It's just an absolutely devastating blow to the civil rights movement. At the same time, you also have Thurgood Marshall appointed to the Supreme Court as being the first African American Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Okay? I'm gonna let you read these. I don't need to read them to you. Okay? Black Panther, the Black Power movement. Okay, the next couple photos are incredibly famous. This is one of the last photos, if not one of the last photo of Dr. King right here. Okay, alive. Shortly after this photo was taken, a shot rings out, and he is shot in the side of the head of an assassin on a rooftop a couple blocks away. Okay. Right after the shot rings out, and this is one of the most famous photos. All right, police start showing up. You can see some police officers down here. You can see Dr. King still laying down here, mortally wounded. All right, and everyone pointing to the direction of where the shot came. Shortly after the assassination, here are some pictures of the funeral. Okay, his wife wanted an open casket so people could see what they did to him. Shortly after that, this gentleman, James Earl Ray, is arrested for the assassination of Dr. King, and he will serve out his life in prison. Okay. Shortly after that, this gentleman here, Thurgood Marshall, the lawyer of the NAACP, the lawyer who was able to get them to overturn Brown v. Board of Ed, will be appointed to the Supreme Court as the first African American Chief Justice to the Supreme Court. Okay, so over the assassination, make sure you can tell the difference between Malcolm X philosophy and Dr. King's philosophy. Okay, third grade Marshall, the NAACP, and then complete your homework. Doing the 5 checkpoints plus the 2 questions. All right, this will all be due by Friday evening. I'll set a due date on it. You'll see that when I post it. All right, and then we'll do section 4 tomorrow. There won't be a voiceover on that one. It's kind of self-explanatory. You can just read it and answer the questions. Okay, and then that'll kick us into the weekend, a day to catch up, and then we'll do a review and your test next week. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Take care, guys.